Oh, this one, huh? This one's gonna be interesting to review to say the very least. Because we're not only looking at a fantastic horror movie today, we're looking at what's my personal all time favorite horror film. Like, no joke, my all time favorite horror film. Yes, I love slashers as much as the next guy. But, to me, this is the best horror film we've ever gotten in the history of the entire genre. Yes, even better than the Universal Monsters. Why is that? Well, for one, it created its own entire freaking subgenre, which, I mean, not every movie can actually do that successfully. But also because of how influential it is, of how impactful it was, and not to mention what it was able to do with so very little. But let's not waste any more time and talk about it. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station. You know, most such as different anything and everything animation, including live action every once in a while. Welcome back to our horror movie marathon that is Revenge of 31 Days of Horror. And as you can see, we are doing this review in black and white. And it's because this is a black and white movie and my favorite horror movie of all time, and my fourth favorite movie of all time. So, yeah, needless to say, I'm super excited to talk about this one, so let's not waste any more time. And welcome to the start of the next franchise we're covering for this marathon. 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Yup, the George Romero Dead series. Now, I'm not going to review every single one of these because there is a bunch of these remakes, and then there's remakes of the remakes, and it just gets super confusing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to review the original 6 movies actually made by Mr. Romero before he passed away. And then we will do the 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead, directed by horror legend Tom Savini. Then I will do the Dawn of the Dead remake by Zack Snyder. And I think that's it. Actually, no, I'm not. Just the 1990 remake. So this is going to be 8 films. Because we have this one today, then we have Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead, and then the Night of the Living Dead 1990 remake. So, yep, we're gonna dive headfirst into the zombie genre now. So, this should be fun. So, without any more further ados or delays, here's my written review. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm not going super all-out analytical for this one because I just did that for Batman, and no one's watching it. So, I'm just going to read off my written review and go from there. Also, I hope you guys like that this is actually in black and white. Like, this is the first time I've ever done a video like this. So, who knows? Maybe if you guys like it enough when I get around to covering the Universal Monsters, which should hopefully be next year, I'll do that entire marathon in black and white. So, without any more further ado or delays, here's my written review for the masterpiece that is the 1968 original Night of the Living Dead. I've been awaiting this moment for a long time. It's finally time to discuss my personal all-time favorite scary movie, 1968's Night of the Living Dead. Ever since I first saw it for free on YouTube around the year of 2016, because it's public domain, I have always put it on a higher pedestal than every other horror movie released before or since its initial release. It literally created its own subgenre, as it was the birth of one of the most famous monsters in all of horror history: zombies. Undead ghouls rising from their graves to devour the flesh of the living, to try to satiate their never-ending appetite. Not to mention that it both takes place in and was also filmed in my home state of Pennsylvania, giving me a very deep appreciation for it that's only grown year after year. Now, before you ask, no, this is not my favorite just because it's public domain and most accessible out of all the horror movie classics. Like, this is arguably one of the most accessible movies out there because you can literally watch it anywhere you want, anytime you want. Or just because it was created in my home state. No. It's my favorite because of how much it was able to accomplish with the very minuscule budget and very small crew they had. This is arguably one of the most influential and high-quality indie films ever made. It didn't have the big budgets or wild effects of most other horror movies, which in a way helped it feel more gritty and bone-chilling. Sure, it's a bit of a slow burn and the characters themselves are pretty hit or miss, Barbara probably being the worst. And that's because back then Romero didn't really know how to write female characters well, so that's more of a fault of lack of knowledge rather than being mean-spirited. But it's all made up for in its stellar world building through the TV and radios. Great effects despite the low budget, like you still get someone devoured, you get an arm bitten off as you saw in the thumbnail, you get someone horribly stabbed to death with a trauma, like you get your zombie gore. It's just not as gory as the movies that are going to follow, including its own sequels, which just get insanely bloody. I mean, heck, in Day of the Dead, the main villain of that movie gets ripped in half. Like, it's not that gory, but it's pretty freaking gory, especially if you're watching the Technicolor version of this movie. So, yeah, don't think that because I said it doesn't have the wild effects of most horror movies, that's not going to be violent and gory. No. This movie still as gory and violent as any other zombie film, just not as extreme as most zombie films. Like, this isn't Dead Alive, for example. It's not Dead Alive, it's not Evil Dead. It's still pretty gory, but not that gory. So that's your warning. Effective scares, gloomy atmosphere, disturbing messages that are somehow still relevant to this very day, shocking ending, and of course creating the terrifying and fleshing zombies that have now become a staple of the genre, and arguably in all of pop culture thanks to The Walking Dead, which no, I haven't watched yet. Add on the stellar direction from the late great George Romero, may he rest in peace, iconic dialogue, fantastic cinematography, effective brutal kills, Mrs. Cooper's death undoubtedly the most vicious out of all of them, iconic house setting, great acting from Doug Jones as the hero character Ben. Like, seriously, Doug Jones should have gotten a freaking Oscar for this performance. Outstanding music and high rewatchability. And you've got the markings of yet another outstanding iconic horror movie that, once again, created its own franchise. Sure, the first two sequels are technically superior, but to me, nothing will ever top this one. It's my favorite horror movie, my favorite zombie movie, my favorite live-action movie, period, and my fourth favorite movie of all time for a damn good reason. Whether you watch it in black and white or Technicolor, you're in for a masterpiece of frights and terror. The final verdict for this masterpiece of film, that is Night of the Living Dead 1968, is going to be a high, well-deserved, and probably never going to ever be topped 11 out of 10. It is that good. It is an amazing movie. And if for some reason you haven't watched it yet, go watch it right now. I highly recommend it. Not to mention, like I said, free on YouTube. And there's 2 different versions of it, so you literally have no excuse not to watch it. So, yep, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Again, let me know if you guys like this black and white video format or if you'd rather me just stick to color. And I will see you guys next time when we take a look at its insanely amazing, awesome sequel that is Dawn of the Dead.